All right, guys, welcome back to the Sex and Bacon podcast. On today's episode, I have another amazing guest with me. Tristan West is here to talk about the porn industry from the gay perspective of working in it.
Yes.
So, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see how your perspective is because I have talked to so many other guys that are straight guys in the gay porn
Yeah.
industry. So, yeah, this is. I think it'll be a really fun, interesting conversation and like very valuable for people to hear the other side of it. So, do you want to maybe start off by just like telling us how you got into the industry?
Yeah. I'm kind of new. So I started back in like the summer of 2022. Yeah. Summer of
Okay.
2022. So I started a shoot. I did a shoot with Mark Henderson, who shoots a lot of like gay male porn stars primarily. And I had no intention of like getting into the industry. And then after that, I kind of just life happened and I just kind of migrated into the industry. And so it's interesting because usually it goes the other way. Like people will
Hmm.
already have that, like already be established and then do shoots with him. So it was really interesting, but I think it made me feel very comfortable, like going into my first shoot, like already doing that. So
Hmm.
yeah.
So, what did you do before you did gay porn?
Oh my God, everything.
Oh,
um,
okay.
I've worked in corporate America, doing insurance. I've worked like waiting tables. I bartended private parties, bartended for clubs,
Okay.
college bars. I've worked in politics. I've worked in like every field imaginable.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
That's fun. So yeah, that's a very different industry to kind of switch over to.
very much so. Yeah.
Yeah. So was the photo shoot you were doing was more so just for fun for you to have pictures of
Yeah.
yourself? Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
mean, like I've always like loved his work and like his pictures are very like unique and distinct. So you kind of
Mhm.
know like when you see someone's picture with a shoot that they've done with him. I mean, they always just turn out amazing. But I've been wanting to like shoot with him for a while at that point. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna do this like for fun, just for like personal use. And then it kind of just life took over and jumped in
So
the front
companies kind
seat.
of reached out to you and were like,
So I started with so after I did the photo shoot with him, I started doing OnlyFans and for my fans and made my first video with Awesome Wolf, who kind of helped me get into the industry.
mhm.
And he connected me with Cocky Boys, and that was my first studio shoot. And then from there it kind of just took off. And then I
Yeah.
did a movie with Naked Sword, a couple scenes with Next Door, a couple with Kinks. Yeah.
Those are some pretty big like production names. And it's funny because I mean I only know them because as a straight woman I watch gay porn for some, reason.
Right.
Like, yeah, because obviously that's where the good-looking guys are, which I still don't understand
Yeah,
to this day why there's way more better-looking guys in gay porn than there is in straight porn. Like,
because the gays are
so
so vain.
yeah,
We only care about like
fair.
looks.
Yeah, that's fair. You're right. They do. And
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
really
like,
what they
I'm
care
all
about.
for it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
everyone has like a
So
body
with
shaped like Michelangelo, carved by
totally.
Michelangelo.
Absolutely, right? We're also blessed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so was this, like, not nerve-wracking for you? I mean, like, stage fright, like, you walk in to do a movie and, like,
A
like, how does
little
that work? Because I
bit.
mean, I'd be
I
freaked
mean,
out.
yeah, a little bit. Well, so when I did my shoot with Mark Henderson, a large portion of the photo shoot is completely nude. So for
Okay.
that, I was nervous. And again, like I still had at that point no intention of getting into the
Mhm.
industry. But then like afterwards, I think like having that experience under my belt definitely made me more comfortable going into my first shoot. And
Okay.
it was like, okay, well, I've already done like half of it. Now I just have to like do it live. I've already done it
Yeah.
still. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think that
That's fair.
prepared me a lot for that.
Okay. So the big difference obviously is you are gay and you are into men.
Hmm.
So is it easier for you then? I mean, like I've talked to some of these other guys about the fact of like getting hard-ons or you're taking pills or the
Yeah.
one guy said injections into like your dick and stuff.
Oh
So
yeah.
being gay and you're being turned on or you're into these guys, is this just something that naturally it's easy to do and you're just fucking on camera for
Oh
complete
yeah,
pleasure?
100%. Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Wow.
it is, yeah, no, it's complete pleasure. I have no problems. Like, I never have a problem on set. Yeah, so it's very different because like there's a lot more like either gay for pay or I guess bi guys than you would
Mhm.
think. Or like completely straight that just do gay porn for either the money or whatever it may be. But like totally more so than I ever would have imagined. And
Right.
it's very interesting because it's like I can't imagine being in that situation because like for me it's just, like literally I'm just doing it for fun and to get a paycheck.
Well, because 'cause that'd be like you being paid to do straight porn to fuck a girl, and you're
Right.
not into girls, right?
Right. No, like I would have to use like yeah, the pills and the injections and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy.
But then
So,
it's
are
also
you
like it's interesting because like with like others with the straight guys, like you always want to be like respectful with their boundaries, but then it makes like
Mhm.
our job as like a gay performer kind of a little bit harder because it's like you don't when there's chemistry there it's so much easier. Like I've had
Yeah.
like scenes banged out in like an hour, 2 hours after the B roll is
Right.
done. When the chemistry is there, like it's so much easier. So definitely that
Yeah, I could
is
see
like
that
the big
because, I mean, to
difference.
naturally have sex, I mean, sometimes you're just open and, like, it flows and different positions happen and
Yeah.
different things go on, and it's just, like, you're
Mhm.
comfortable together, whereas if you are straight acting and somebody's like, "I don't allow that," it's, like, something that might be natural to you to try to do or to do as, like, the
Right.
next step, you're not allowed to.
Right.
So it's like you have to
For sure.
second guess everything, all your actions, right?
It's like
Yeah.
totally being in a different environment, whereas like as opposed to pleasure, now it's like I'm literally stepping into like almost like a role.
Yeah. Okay. So do you know ahead of time who you're gonna be working with and whether or not they are gay or, gay for pay, as you say?
We usually get like I would say like I'll get like typically like a week's notice. I'll know who I'm
Okay.
working with. And the first straight performer that I worked with, I had no idea. So that was interesting. I don't like throw them under the bus. But like a lot of them, it's interesting because they'll be like married with like wife and kids. And I'm like, wow,
Oh,
this is interesting. Um,
okay.
yeah, a lot of them, like more often than not.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because I always just assume that people in any type of sex industry whatsoever really have a hard time dating and maintaining
Yes.
relationships. So when you hear like people in a porn industry or any industry sex related that like are happily married with children and stuff, it really makes you kind of like wonder. Well, one, it's kind of like, okay, so there is hope. But then two, kind of
Mhm.
also makes you wonder about like the dynamics of the
100%.
relationship itself compared to a
100%.
traditional relationship.
And I've thought that more so like when there's been children involved. Like I've always thought like
Mhm.
I can't imagine being like, 10 and having these discussions with like a parent who's like in the industry being like, "Hey, like, you're going to go to school and someone might pull up
Yeah,
anything on their phone."
totally. Or other
So it's
parents even.
interesting.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
that too.
I struggled when I was a stripper to make friends, with the parents at the school because I thought they would judge me for sure. So I can't imagine as a
Right.
woman being like, "Oh, yeah," like, "Well, what does your husband do?" "Oh, he's a gay porn star." It's like,
Right.
"Oh, sorry. Okay, what?" Like,
Right. Yeah.
that doesn't go over well with
Yeah,
everybody.
I can't imagine. I
Right?
can't
Can you
imagine why.
imagine, like, family functions, kids' birthday
The
parties? "Oh,
PTA
I've seen some of
meetings.
your movies." Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's like,
Yeah.
"No. Sorry, stay away
And my
from
favorite,
those
like, "Oh,
kids."
you look so familiar. Oh, I
Yeah,
wonder I wonder where I know you from. I wonder where."
right? It's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
shit." Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
wow, interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
so are you primarily a top or a bottom, or do you go both?
Um, do totally both. It totally
Okay.
depends, like well, 1, whatever pays more, and then, 2, just kind of like the chemistry with like your scene partner and kind of what they are. Like there's certain types of guys that I'll want to bottom for, and then there's certain types of guys that I'll want to top.
Like, as personal preference and stuff like that, of, like, what you're into with them specifically, or
More so like look wise.
okay.
Like I'm not gonna go and like top someone like Roman Todd, for example, who's like twice my size.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So, like, aesthetically, the way that it kinda looks on camera, there's certain rules.
not rules,
Okay.
but just like my personal
Okay.
preference. Yeah,
Okay. Oh, interesting. I never would have thought that
yeah,
that would be a factor. But, like,
yeah,
I get it, thinking about it,
yeah,
you know? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So, does this affect your dating life at all? Like, how do you is this an easy conversation you have with partners and people you meet?
I've actually like I've never been in a relationship,
Okay.
so I've never really like had a strong desire to either. So it's never really been something that I've had to bring up. The only time that I've really brought it up was like with friends. But like dating wise, yeah, it's never come up because I've just never been in that situation yet. But I imagine
Okay.
it's going to be like a weird conversation.
Because like I could see there being a little bit of a difference with a straight guy saying this is what I do for work, and a woman
Hmm.
would know you're not into the people you're working with, it's straight acting.
Right.
Whereas for you, this is pleasure for you as well as like pay. So for your partner
Yeah.
to be like, well, you really enjoyed that guy, or you had like a great orgasm and stuff, like that would be a little bit more of a mind fuck, I could see.
Yeah. I could
Yeah, like
totally see like jealousy
yeah,
being a very big aspect of that
totally.
kind of
Yeah,
relationship.
creating some
Yeah.
insecurities and whatnot, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So how did your friends and family take it?
Well, so my family doesn't though. But my friend, a
Oh,
couple of I would say like maybe 20% of my friend group knows. 10 to
okay.
15, 10 to 20%.
Yeah. Okay, because 'cause you're young,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. 22.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you
Yeah.
have a whole career kind of ahead of you that you
Yeah.
can make a run with of this, right?
Yeah. And that's like a very big like way that I look at it is like I'm starting young, I'm starting fresh,
Mhm.
so to speak. And it's like I can kind of set myself up for a lot of success and build.
Mhm.
Like there's a lot more for me to build upwards
Right.
from where I am right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, do they kinda, like, guide you with this to, like, build that career, or is this something you really have to navigate on your own business-wise?
Oh, totally 100% on my own. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, so it's
Okay.
been very hard because it's like not only am I still working a 9 to 5, but now it's like, I'm also doing like volunteering stuff on the side and then like here I am like running my own business and learning how to run your own business, which is a lot of work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially managing the socials aspect of it, right?
Even just that, like even
Yeah.
managing like how frequently like I post on Twitter and Instagram
Mm,
and oh, I didn't post this day, like it's a lot. It's a lot to keep
right.
up with. But
Okay. So it's like you need to get to a point where it's like you can just hire like an assistant to kind of do it all for you.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly like I'm getting there and I'm like streamlining things more and more. And it's
Yeah.
like definitely something that I've noticed, like, even with like scheduling tweets to go
Mhm.
out, like such a big help. Like such a huge like tool
Okay.
that
Yeah.
like you don't think of, but it's like it's one less thing that I have to do in the morning, or
Right.
it's like one less thing to remember. So that's really great.
How many times a week or a month are you working doing filming?
Like studio shoots,
Yeah.
I would say maybe like averaging one a month right now.
Okay. So it
Yeah.
is something that starts a little slower, and then
Yeah, it definitely starts a little slower. 100%.
so do you find location makes a difference? Like where you live?
Yes. Yeah. Like a lot of the studios are out in either like Vegas or LA or San Diego. So being from New York, it's hard because,
Mhm.
it's coast to coast. It's definitely like it's more expensive for them to fly out performers from the East Coast, like performers in Miami, in New York,
Mhm.
like Chicago. Like it's a lot harder for them to get work. So I think it definitely, but on the other side, there's a lot of OnlyFans models in New York, like in New York City specifically. So it kind of balances itself out, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause it's like once it's like you've made a big enough name for yourself, and
Yeah,
then, your videos and your content is, kind of a little bit more popular, it's like then to them it makes more sense to have you in more content, I'm assuming is kinda how that
for
works?
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, well, definitely, like, once you like you said, like, once you build a name for
Yeah.
yourself, and then also too, like, that's where the fans will come
Yeah.
once, your name is out there enough and once they hear of you enough. So it's just kind of like getting your name out there and getting
Hmm.
that publicity, so to speak.
Okay. It's
Yeah,
interesting how like it really works, right? Um,
it is.
but
But
okay.
then also too, like with studio stuff, like something that I take into account a lot is when studios will like ask us as models, like, oh, is there anyone from our list or like our list of exclusives or
Hmm.
people that we like to work with that you specifically want to work with? So there's also that aspect too. Like I've gotten two shoots that I probably otherwise just wouldn't have gotten just because of location wise, simply
Hmm.
because the other model requested to work with me, which is
Oh,
really cool.
really?
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, that feels
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's a little
Yeah.
ego boost.
Yeah. Oh, totally. I mean, you're a really good looking guy. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean?
thank you.
Like, so I mean, like, I feel like that kind of makes a difference too, right? Like, I'm not, I mean, obviously there is some of like the gay porn that I've watched where it is like straight men, whatever. Some I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes you can kind of tell which guys are actually more into it per se.
Yeah,
Than the other ones, right? And that does make a little bit of a difference, I think, when you can tell somebody is like really into it compared
for
to
sure.
kind of going through the motions of it, right?
Yeah, well, that's what I say, like, whenever, like, 2 models have, like, good chemistry together
Mhm.
or, like, want to work together, it makes everyone's life easier. It makes
Yeah.
both of our lives as models easier. It makes the director's life easier. It makes, like, everyone's life easier. Everything goes so
Mhm.
much more smoothly, so much more quicker. So, yeah, that's definitely a big thing that we appreciate as models is,
Yeah.
like, when we get to request, like, other models and the chemistry's there and everything works out great.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so let's get
Yeah.
into like a little bit of like the nitty-gritty. So like what's
Yeah.
your worst experience you have had though thus far, or just like on set
Mm.
something has happened where you're just like, "Oh fuck."
I haven't had any, like, really, really bad experiences. Let me think. I guess, like, and this isn't even that bad, but, like, the worst thing that happened was we were shooting for Kink, and we were doing a shower scene, and I was getting ready to, like, turn the water off, but I guess I
Mhm.
turned the wrong knob, and it was, like, one of these showers that had, like, the faucet up here, a faucet over
Mhm.
here, a faucet down here on the side, and then another one down here on the side. So like I'm getting ready to get out of the shower, I turn the faucet and the jet like sprays like burning hot water into my asshole. And I like
Oh, Jesus.
screamed, flung the door open, the water's shooting out of the shower, floor is soaking wet, and they got it all on camera. And I'm like, please send that to me for behind the scenes because that's hysterical. So that was like the worst thing that happened, and it wasn't even that bad.
That's funny. Oh, so you've had it, like, pretty
Yeah.
good so far then? Like,
Yeah.
nobody that's
Yeah,
been,
not
like,
gonna knock on wood, but
too
yeah.
big or, like, done some damage to you in any way, shape, or
No,
form?
I've only had one that I was, like, intimidated by,
Mhm.
and it actually worked out really well, and I was like, "Wow, I'm kinda surprised I was able to do that without needing any assistance."
Like, numbing cream type of, like, assistance? Do you use that at all, or
Um,
you don't need to?
no, yeah, I've used the numbing cream before, that's a big
Okay.
help. I don't know if we're allowed to say it on set, but, like, when we have to use, like, poppers.
Okay, what's that?
Oh, you don't know what poppers are?
No.
Oh, okay, so it's like this little thing that you, like, sniff,
Yeah?
okay, and then it, like, loosens your butthole.
Really? And it's meant for
Yeah,
that, strictly?
kind of, I think.
Okay.
You're not they're not al We're not allowed to use it on set, though,
Okay.
so of
I mean,
course we
that
don't.
sounds like it would be, like, amazing for every woman out there who's, like,
Oh,
going down the
yeah.
road of doing anal, like,
Oh, it's
right?
incredible, it's like a must-have, yeah,
Okay. Huh. I'm gonna have
but
to
we
look
don't
into
ever
that a
use
little
them
bit
in
more.
studio work.
Right. Okay, that's
Right.
of course not,
Of
personal
course not,
preferences
no.
and outside of that, of course.
Right,
Um,
of course,
okay.
exactly.
So then for yourself, has there been
Mhm.
anybody that you've, like, connected with that, like, you guys have got together outside of studio?
No, no,
No, hey? Okay.
no, yeah, just, like, I've made, like, a couple friends
Mhm.
from it, but nothing like no like relationship connection type things.
Okay.
None of that.
Have
Yeah.
you found that you've worked more so far with other gay models, or you've worked more with, like, gay for pay?
Get mostly gay models.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kinda
Yeah.
nice then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It's definitely nice. Yeah. I think I've only worked with like two, maybe two gay for pay models.
Mhm.
Maybe two. And they both have been like great. Like they've both been super sweet, very like respectful, very
Yeah.
like friendly, like open-minded, like type of thing.
Okay, do you find that more intimidating when they are straight? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Oh, 100%.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? Like, it did
100%.
like,
Yeah.
gets in your head a little bit more of, like,
It does. Definitely
yeah,
does. Yeah.
okay.
Because it's like I don't want to cuz for me, it's like I would never want to do something to make someone else feel uncomfortable. So,
Mhm,
it's like even just like the little things, like the fluffing, when there's that chemistry, it's so much easier. And then
mhm,
when it's with like straight models, like it's always like, "Hey, are you cool with this?" And it's like you always want to ask before you do like anything.
right,
Because you just don't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But then also, yeah, it is intimidating because it's like, well, I know that they're not here to have fun. They're here for their
right,
paycheck. And
yeah,
it's like when it's with another gay model, we're both there for a paycheck and we're both there to have fun.
right,
So it's a lot less
yeah,
intimidating. It's a lot less, there's a lot less like, not tension,
mhm,
but you just feel more comfortable.
yeah, I could see that for sure. Okay, so you
Yeah.
do the warming up as well then with, like, stretching on, like, toys and all of that before a shoot?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like, it's a must.
Okay, so why is that? Because I would imagine in, like, just like a normal, like, gay relationship before you guys have sex, you're
hmm
obviously not stretching and warming up on, like, toys, are you? Like, am I just
Yeah.
oblivious to, like, you know?
Yeah, I think you definitely are to some extent.
Okay.
Like, there's definitely, like, there's always, like, finger play to begin with.
Right, okay.
And then, like, usually there's like, in the past, there's always been, like, a little toy play, and then we'll, like, ease into it.
Okay, so there's more foreplay that goes on in a gay sex
Yeah.
scene or even, like, a gay relationship than probably what does in, like, a normal,
Oh,
male-female one.
100%.
Oh, now I'm
Yeah,
kinda
because, like, I'll
jealous.
definitely do yeah, no,
Like,
there's definitely a lot more foreplay, and, like, I'll do all the stretching stuff, like the numbing cream, I'll use, like, butt plugs, like, different size butt plugs, slowly, open myself up, and, like, for me, like, the easiest way for me to get it in is by riding, so I'll always ride the other guy first, go all the way,
yeah.
like, down to the base, and be like, "Okay, now you're good to do whatever you need, because now I'm, like, totally open."
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So there's a
And it's like
process to
everybody's
this.
different. Like some people are like, "Oh, like put it in me all the way doggy, and then
Yeah.
I'm good to go with everything else." But for me, it's riding.
Yeah, because I would imagine, like, certain positions, it's easier to get it in.
Yeah.
Things are naturally more open than,
And with
say,
the riding, like
other.
I control it too,
Right.
because anal's
Okay.
hard.
It is.
It
Like,
is.
seriously. Like,
It really is.
yeah. Like, I don't even
And when you
know
have a top
how.
that just shoves it in there, that's like, you know, just not gonna work.
I would imagine almost too that guys who are straight, who don't necessarily obviously aren't having anal sex all the time,
Right.
they're probably less thoughtful of, like,
100%.
yeah,
Like the strict tops.
yeah,
Yeah, they'll just be like, "Oh, okay, going in," and it's like, "No, baby, we gotta slow down. That's way too quick."
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So there's definitely like that aspect as well.
yeah. Okay. So not then to ask too much information of your personal life, but now
Oh,
I'm
not at
curious of this
all.
because I have, like, some gay guy friends who, like, they'll strictly top or bottom. So were you strictly a top or
Okay.
bottom before you got into gay porn, and then just because of being in gay porn, you've, like, gone both?
Not before gay okay. When I was younger, I was like totally a strict bottom. Like
Okay.
16 years old, I was like a strict bottom. And I didn't top my first time until I was like, I think like 20 or 19,
Okay.
19 going on 20. And then once I started doing gay porn, then I've definitely started topping more
Okay. How
and
do you
became
decide
more versed.
that? Like at a young age, at the age of 16, how do you decide what your preference is or how do you know?
That's a good question, actually. I've never thought about that. I
Okay.
don't know. I think it was just like the things that I would watch. I'd be like, okay, yeah, I want to be the one that takes it.
Okay.
Because I think when I was younger, it
Mhm.
like didn't register to me. Okay, well, if I'm a top, why can't I just date women?
Okay.
Does that make any sense? Because it's like if I'm putting it in something,
Yeah.
why don't I just be straight?
Yeah, okay.
But then like obviously when I got older, I was like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, fair. Because I mean, your actual
Right.
attraction isn't to like, a
Right.
vagina and some tits. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
do you ever run into a situation where it's like you've ever like prior to doing say like gay porn where it was like, "Oh, I'm strictly a
Mhm.
bottom," and then you meet a guy who's strictly a bottom and then it's like, "Oh, I guess we can't hook up?"
No, because when that did happen, that's when I topped my first time, and I actually turns out that I really enjoyed it. So, yeah,
Ah, okay.
yeah,
Okay. That's interesting. I always wondered that. It's like, how do you have that conversation? It's like, no, sorry, I'm not willing to take it. Well, I'm not either. Oh, cool. This
right.
isn't happening.
The joke is
Like,
always like, what do two bottoms do? Like rub holes.
yeah. Fair.
Yeah,
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
Huh.
Or they make those
I,
two-sided dildos too.
that's true. I've seen that in a movie,
Yeah,
that double-ended,
really? I've never seen one
yeah.
that I never seen a movie. I should
It
look
was
that
with
up.
2 girls. Mind you, it was in
Okay.
like an actual movie. I think it was in that movie with Jared Leto, Blow, maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was the first time I ever saw
Funny.
that, and I was
Okay,
like, "Oh." I'm like, "That's a thing." But in my mind,
that's
it
a
was just
thing.
in 2 vaginas. I don't even know if it was in, like, 2 asses. It was just I assumed it was in,
Right.
both pussies, so
Yeah. Yeah.
now I'm kinda curious. I'll have to go back and watch that
Now I'm
again.
curious too.
Yeah, like, really zoom in on that and, like, get some clarification on, like, what hole that was going in, right?
Yeah.
That's funny. Okay, so what are
Yeah.
you most excited for, like, your future with this?
A lot. Like so I had so much fun. Like one of the best times of my entire life
Mhm,
was AVNs. So like I love the and then I went to XBiz right after
mhm,
and also had like such an amazing time. So I think like those award shows are what I'm like really excited for and like looking forward
okay,
to and like winning awards and being nominated for awards is what I'm really excited for. And then like just being there too is like so much fun.
right. Yeah, yeah, I saw that,
Yeah.
I read that, like, you did that, and that would be exciting, especially starting
Yeah.
out in your career to get to you got to present, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
was the first
right?
presenter. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, it
So,
was really cool.
are you hoping to quit your full-time 9 to 5 job with this
Yeah.
eventually? That's the
hmm
goal?
So right now with like OF and all that, I'm at like 20% of what I would make
Mhm.
in a full year salary.
Okay.
So I'm hoping by like the end of the year I can get that up to like 60, 75%.
Mhm.
And then like hopefully next year like surpass that.
Okay.
So yeah, that's
That's
definitely the
good.
goal.
And
Yeah,
it's something that it continues to build on top of each other, one
totally.
thing right after the other, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like
Okay.
with the more content that I release too, and like just the more collabs you do, especially
Mhm.
with like bigger names, it just naturally grows on its own. But yeah, like I have some really exciting collabs in the works. So I think like, or I'm hoping that it's kind of going to skyrocket this year.
Yeah.
So,
Where is most of your content if like people want to look for you to watch some of your videos or if there's, specific production companies that most of your content is at, where could people find you?
I've done, well, so I have all my content across the three major platforms for like gay performers. So it's on OnlyFans, for my fans, and just for fans. And those are all Tristan West XXX. And then I've shot a couple scenes with like Next Door, and Kink are probably like the two biggest ones that
Mhm.
like they'll see movies in.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
you do have Instagram account, Twitter
hmm
account.
Yeah. So Instagram is x Tristan x West x, and then Twitter is Tristan West XXX.
Okay, perfect. And I'll I
Yeah,
mean I'll include those in all of our stuff as well.
thank
What
you.
production company has been like your favorite to work with so far?
Kink, 100%.
Okay, and is it just
Yeah.
like the culture on set is different than some of the other ones?
Yeah, culture is definitely different. You get like I've gotten to try things that like I would never be able to try like elsewhere. Like I did my first electro stimulation with them, which was a lot of fun. It's really cool. And
Okay.
then like I got suspended 6 feet in the air with like ropes from the top of like a bed frame. That was a lot of fun. And then I did my first like hot wax scene with them. That was a lot of fun. So I've gotten to try like so many different things with them. And then on top of that, like the people there, the
Mhm.
from everyone from like the production assistants to the directors, they're all just so, so amazing. And like they all make you feel like you're in a really, really comfortable environment for
Mhm.
the things that you're doing that are otherwise not so comfortable.
Okay, so explain the electro stimulation.
Oh, it's great. It's like okay, so they have like there's a bunch of different ones. So they have like a wand that you
Mhm.
can and the scene hasn't been released yet, but once it is, you can see it and
Mhm.
it's really cool. But it's like a wand that you can like zap and it's like what they use on cattle, like to herd cattle.
Oh,
Yeah, and I mean it has different
okay.
intensities,
Okay.
but it's really cool. That one was fun. And then there was like a pom pom that
Yeah.
also had like different, intensities that they could turn the dial up on. And like they could run that over you and like that would
Mm.
give like a
Okay.
little spark. Yeah,
Yeah.
lots of fun.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
some of these things that you've done then with kink, like the, being tied up and stuff, like I've seen that at a few different swingers clubs and stuff. And I mean, it looks very erotic. And that somebody actually told me that
Yeah.
taking the ropes off actually can like give you like amazing orgasms because the way it like releases on the skin is so
Mhm.
pleasurable.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
is
like
there things that
when
you've done?
so my first kink one I was like tied up like this.
Hmm.
I think like hogtied. And then like the way that they like knotted it was that so when I was ready to finish,
Hmm.
I could like just kind of squeeze out of it or like, invert it or
Hmm.
whatever and it would like all come undone. And you're right, like it totally just like all the blood flows like right to that area. So
Yeah.
it's really intense and it's like a lot of fun too.
Okay. So this is
Yeah.
really like doing porn has really like opened up your own like sexuality for
Mhm.
like pleasure and
Yeah,
experience and expanded like your mind on things that like you're into that you would do in the bedroom as well.
absolutely. And it's
Yeah.
cool because like before kink, like, that's like kind of like a taboo thing to be like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I wanna be electrocuted," or like,
Mhm.
"Oh, I want you to drip, like, hot wax on me." But it's really cool, like, when I did my first scene with them, there was, like, all this paperwork, and there was, like, all these different categories of, like, things that you're willing to do, things that you're not willing to do, and so it was cool because it was like, "Oh, this is, like, a place where I could try these things
Mhm.
where, like, I know it's safe, I know it's like, I know it's in a safe environment, and it's, like, not as taboo to bring up."
Right.
So, yeah.
So was there some on there though that you were like, "Yeah, I'm good." Like, "No,
Oh, yeah,
I'm not checking."
100%.
Yeah?
Like, I
Okay.
forgot what it was called, but I forgot the name of it. But it was, like, something that went in your urethra.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
blanking on the name.
I can't remember. One of the other guys was talking about it too, and he said like one of these guys, like even just while they were on vacation or hanging out somewhere, was like into that and doing it to
Yeah,
himself.
no.
And I was like,
And like, that scares me, and I'm like,
yeah,
absolutely not. Nothing is going in my urethra. Like, that is
no,
terrifying.
that doesn't sound pleasurable in
Um,
any way.
no, it sounds very scary, and
Yeah.
apparently they were, like, saying how I guess it makes you just feel like you have to pee, like, the entire time, and I'm like, "That just
Oh,
makes me I don't know, like, I feel like that wouldn't be enjoyable."
no,
Right?
doesn't sound very fun.
What was another one? Oh, I think it was called Sounding.
Okay.
I think it's called Sounding.
Okay.
No. Oh, there was, like, mummification, where
Okay.
they would, like, wrap you in I don't know. Oh, I think it was, like almost like a like a body bag, and then you
Ugh.
had like a tube like to breathe out of. But then it would suck all the air out of like everywhere else. It'd be like a rubber suit or like a latex suit, and it would just like
Ugh.
literally like mummy, like you'd be like a mummy. And I'm like, no,
Oh,
it's a guy.
that scares me. Like, I'm so claustrophobic,
Yeah,
just even thought of
me
that just
too.
terrifies me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm so claustrophobic that I couldn't do that, but the ropes don't bother me for some reason.
See, and I've been curious about that because, like, with the being claustrophobic, it's kind of like that feeling of being trapped almost. So then I've wondered if, like,
Yeah,
doing the ropes or being tied up would, like, trigger that, or if it would help kind of, like, get over it almost.
it's different because it's like with the ropes, like I feel like if I really needed to get out,
Mhm.
I could use one hand to, eventually untie the knots, but like
Yeah.
with something like that where like you're literally stuck in like that body bag, yeah, no, something about not being able to move
Yeah.
around at all scares me.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. That'd be, like,
Yeah,
literally my worst nightmare.
yeah,
Yeah, not happening.
you know.
Okay. So have you been able to try some of these kinks and stuff, like, in your personal life?
No, not yet, but I want to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
Bring
I'm hoping to get some more scenes with King because they're a
Yeah.
lot of fun to work with.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I have to go on their site because they have some cool toys to buy too.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out. That's the one thing
Yeah,
I
it's really
kind
cool,
of
and they do
find.
straight porn too.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I'll have to
Yeah, they
check
have
it
a
out,
lot of
like.
like guy on girl, girl on guy, girl dominating guy. It was interesting the last scene that I did. There was three different shoots going on. And this one girl, like you could hear it, like this one girl was just beating the shit out of this guy. And it was like I was like, I can't tell if that's acting or not.
Or if they're into it.
Yeah, oh no, like
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's into it, and that's the best part.
That's funny. Have you done or would you do a scene like 2 guys and a girl?
Yeah,
Yeah? Okay.
yeah. I'm open to trying different things, like knowing that it might work and it might not work.
Okay, so,
So
like, you would be willing to have sex with a girl in a scene.
yeah, I'd be willing to give it a try.
Okay. But do you think, like, at that point, then, like, you would have to do, like, the injections or a pill?
I don't know, it depends.
Because I
It
mean, if
really
there's a guy
depends.
too and you're kind of into the guy and there's some stimulation that
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
I think if all three of us were like had the chemistry there, I think
Yeah.
it would work. I'd be interested
Okay.
to see that. And there are some sites that do that. Like I think Biphoria is one of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, so maybe I'll give that a try.
I mean, I'd be
I
curious
don't
to
know.
see that scene. Yeah. I
Right?
mean, I
Me
like the
too.
other ones too that I saw, but, like, I'd definitely be curious to see how that plays out. So,
Yeah,
you'll have to keep me posted if that ever happens.
I will. I
Yeah.
definitely will.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so for everybody listening, what is something that you would say to somebody who is looking to get into the industry? Maybe they don't know how, fear, whatever, or like what would be like the first steps to kind of, doing that? Because I mean, is it a saturated industry? Do you think?
Yes and no. Like I found that there's certain studios that will kind of just pretty much only use it their exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll just be like their that same roster on redial. So it's always nice to see like a new face. And it's always nice to see like a variety.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think the industry is too saturated to the point where like people can't enter it. But it's definitely just kind of like knowing what studios you have a chance with versus which ones you don't if you're not
Okay.
exclusive. Yeah.
Okay. So just a little bit of
Yeah.
homework and research in that department
Yeah,
then.
homework and
Yeah.
research, knowing like kind of what your specific look is, and then where you would fit in. Like there's certain studios that have very like thin little like twink looks, and
Mm-hmm.
that's their brand, that's their market. And then there's like other studios that want like the big hairy beefy guys. So it's kind of just like knowing where your market is, I guess, knowing your
Mm-hmm.
brand, knowing where you fit in. And then also, like, I think my biggest piece of advice would be like, you have to just like go for it, like just jump out of the plane and go for it because it really has like opened up so many doors for me and like made me so much more independent in terms
Mm-hmm.
of like, now it's like I make my own money and like I don't rely on anybody else for a dollar. or I don't rely on anybody else for, business advice, for
Yeah.
example, like whatever it may be. So it definitely makes you grow, like not only as a person, but just in
Yeah.
general, like in life.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Because I mean, let's be real. Not a lot of 22-year-olds really have like their shit together in the sense of like a business mindset and,
Yeah,
doing that. So to like really be able to take that initiative and like, do that for yourself, that is a lot of work and a lot of
yeah,
ambition and motivation, on a
it
daily
is. Yeah.
basis. Yeah.
And I always tell like other like young performers that I work with, I'm like, you guys need to like get an LLC, like you need to start a
Hmm.
company because there's so many things that you could be benefiting
Yeah.
from owning your own business. Whereas if you're just putting it through yourself, like you're not taking advantage of everything that you're
Right.
like entitled to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. What's the one last thing that you want to share with everybody that, maybe they wouldn't know or wouldn't assume about the industry?
How like that we all have such interesting lives.
Mm-hmm.
Like outside like we're not just like, performers coming to work to have sex. Like every single performer has like a real life and they're like a real personality. And like they're just regular people at the end of the day too. But more so just like how regular they are and how that's not
And
really
yeah,
the perception that a lot of people have of sex
which
work
is
performers.
really unfortunate. I mean, the social stigma
Yeah.
that is there for anything and everything taboo still to this day, sex industry, porn industry. Um, I do find it very frustrating. And I mean, I think that,
Yeah.
you know, it's unfortunate that people take it upon themselves to judge and stereotype people who work in those industries, not knowing their
It really
stories,
is.
not knowing the reality of their lives or things like that, and just, put them into that category and then just shut it down based off their own fears, usually, I find.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, I do find the more men and women that I talk to in the industry is like you really do realize how let's normal whatever that they really are for everything and anything else that
Hmm.
is in their life that everybody else deals with and faces and struggles with on a regular
Yeah.
basis, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
like we all face like the same complications as any
Mhm.
other, like I
Yeah,
I deal with the same shit that any other 22-year
totally.
old gay man does. Just as like a lot of the other straight performers, like they deal with a lot of the same shit that any other straight 22-year-old would.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing your story and your experiences and,
Absolutely.
being willing to talk about sex and your
Yeah.
sexuality and all of those things. I do find it fascinating. And I love that people can open up and can just like willingly have these conversations without like the fear
Me
of
too.
judgment and without, that whole what's everybody else going to think and stuff. So,
Right.
you know, it is nice. It's
Yeah, that's what
refreshing
I love
and
about it. It is.
totally, right?
It's
And I think it's
cathartic too.
beneficial. Totally.
Yeah.
You know,
It's very
other
beneficial.
people,
I love being an open book.
yeah, people have these questions and people are curious and people like knowing,
Yeah.
the ins and outs of people in the industry or just
Yeah. And they
willing to
find
talk
it so
about sex.
fascinating.
Yeah, totally. Right.
Like
Because you don't really
they
get
love to know the
look
behind the
into it all
scenes
the
stuff.
time. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
it's great. So yeah, thank you
Yeah.
very much. And
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
yeah, of course. And for everybody listening, we will post all the socials and you guys can, check them out, check out the content and,
Yeah.
yeah, I checked out your Twitter. So I was like,
Oh
oh,
yeah.
there's yeah, I was like, oh, there's some videos, some pictures. And I forget how like open Twitter is with like some of
Yeah.
that content. So I was like, oh,
Yeah. It's like, oh, there's a hole. Oh, there's a penis.
yeah, yeah, oh, yeah,
Oh, there's a
yeah.
vagina.
Totally, yeah. But,
Yeah.
I mean, it's kinda nice that you can go directly to a person's page and just see
Oh
it
yeah,
all.
100%.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
anytime I need like a quick release, I'm like, okay, I know exactly where to
Totally, and I
go.
love it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, awesome. Okay, well, thank you, and thanks to everybody listening. I hope you guys enjoyed, getting to hear from Tristan West and his perspective
Yeah.
and all things porn.